oh, okay, okay. Well, we're going to moderate on the Hitler stuff, right? And it's like, no, no, I'm not.
And up next, we've got to catch up on the latest drama involving Nick Fuentes, the alt-right extremist and self-avowed Hitler lover who is having a moment right now. It's kind of undeniable. His numbers are huge. People are tuning into him, and he is getting brought on some of the biggest conservative podcasts like Tucker Carlson's show and others. Candace Owens had him on recently, so he's definitely on the come up. His influence is on the rise in right-wing media. That much is undeniable. But as I've highlighted on this channel and this show in the past, he is a genuinely hateful extremist who has said the most vile things imaginable about women, about black people, about gays, about, of course, Jews. He's deeply anti-Semitic. He talks about how he loves Hitler over and over and over again. And now somebody who is adjacent to him in media circles and in some of their political views, the libertarian podcaster Dave Smith, who I have chatted with a little bit over the years and do have nothing against him, but he has, I think, an appreciation for Nick Fuentes because they agree and are united in, for example, their opposition to Israel. So he recently spoke, Dave did, on a podcast and kind of implored Nick Fuentes to disavow some of the edgier statements, like, I love Hitler. That's a quote. And Nick has now responded in a way that Dave probably won't be thrilled about. But first, let's look at this clip of Dave trying to offer some suggestions to Nick about possibly rebranding or moderating or walking back some of his most insane statements, like when he said black people should be in jail for the most part, which I thought was just like really nice of him to add that qualifier at the end. Let's listen.
I'm on Nick's side, but it's kind of the same thing as going, oh, you could afford this, we could afford this. Like, okay, yes, he was wrong then, but what about all the fucking kind of like Nazi shit that you now added to all of this? Because it's not like, I just don't, when I hear people going like, oh, whatever, I first was a little suspicious of this, but then I was like, oh, this is a better way to say it. I do go, look, this kid has blown up and he's pushed the Overton window further than anyone I've ever seen push it. And I've been around some really influential people. But the fact is that even now, I think it's better if he's going on Tucker Carlson's show and going like, well, look, I don't really mean the craziest shit I was ever saying.
I think, okay, just to pause here, Dave has more to say. The problem is, he does mean it. Yeah, that's the thing. We've had the boy who cried wolf so many times, like progressives and woke people being like, Nazi, racist, homophobic, sexist, misogynist. He does mean it. Sometimes he speaks tongue-in-cheek or he's intentionally hyperbolic, but like the underlying positions of hatred and wanting to discriminate against all these different groups of people, he genuinely does believe. So I think part of what has happened is that people who are sympathetic to him for unrelated reasons, or I guess only tangentially related reasons, like him leading the base against Israel or something like that, have made peace with the fact that he's so vile by telling themselves he's just joking, he's just edgelording. But that's not actually true. That's just a cope. And I think Dave is finding that out, or at least will have found that out after he hears Nick's reply to his request to please, like, disavow some of the Nazi stuff. Yeah, let's see if he does that.
That was kind of like, we were being hilarious and I was saying the craziest shit you could say. Now, I know that's not the easiest thing, especially when you're Nick Fuentes. That's a difficult thing to do because your whole brand is that I'm not a bitch. These other guys are bitches. I'm the most real mother ever. And so if you ever walk off that ledge a little bit, it's like you're afraid you're going to lose your whole thing. But to some degree, you got to admit, dude, he's painted himself into a Nazi corner that's like, dude, this is going to turn off a lot of people if you can't find a way to go, okay, I don't mean that. Because that is crazy.
I mean, I basically do agree with Dave here. I think he's way too soft on Nick and has like this soft spot for him just because he agrees with some of his foreign policy views or other things. And so he's not like adequately, in my view, at least horrified by just Nick's extremist, regressive positions and statements. But he's obviously correct that like if Nick is really trying to go mainstream, you got to walk back some of the statements. The I love Hitler, direct quote. His whole thing about his constant doubting of the Holocaust and the just horrible things he says about women and violent things he says about women. It's all extremely, extremely toxic and I think radioactive outside of the online sphere. So if this is obviously good advice, but I think it was always going to fall on deaf ears, and Nick did not take it well. So now let's look at his response to Dave's advice. Let's listen.
I like Dave and I like talking to him and I think he's a good man. But this is an area where we genuinely have disagreement. And I don't like the little self-righteous thing that goes on where he's going to kind of take this track and say, oh, okay. Well, we're going to moderate on the Hitler stuff, right? And it's like, no, I'm not, you know?
Well, there you have it, folks. Nick Fuentes, the new darling on the online right, will not, in fact, be moderating or walking back on his repeated years-long praise of saying he loves Hitler, saying he's Team Hitler, and the people on his side on many issues who are trying to get him to just be a little bit normal. He's like, no, I refuse. He literally is like, yes, hail Hitler, let's go. Yeah, that's psychotic, actually, and should be, in a sane world, in a normal, remotely coherent and ethical political media and discourse, a permanently disqualifying statement. Honestly, having said it all in the first place is disqualifying enough. But then to be like, nope, I double down. And then, of course, he had to double down in a way that was anti-Semitic. Essentially saying, Dave Smith only even asked me to disavow this because he's a Jew, and no Jew, F off, is basically what he says. Listen.
Oh, like, and you don't really have moral high ground over me. You're agnostic. I'm a Christian. You're Jewish. I'm not. Like, and I'm maybe it's a little awkward. It's a little uncomfortable. But yeah, you're always going to be a little bit more. It's like a sensitivity. It's like black people with the N-word. Like, yeah, there's some black people that are going to let you say. They're not going to beat you up, but there's also always going to be like a little. You're going to kind of give them a little side eye. Same with Jews in the Holocaust. And
he really just suggested that like, oh, well, Dave is just sensitive about me saying I love Hitler and I'm Team Hitler because Dave is Jewish. And I believe has family members or relatives who died in the Holocaust. No, I think he's just somewhat in touch with basic reality and morality. Like, I'm not Jewish, but I'm just normal. So I also think Nick Fuentes, that it is bad that he is Team Hitler. And it's not the same as saying the N-word in a rap song, because that even then is harmless and doesn't have bad intent. Saying you love Hitler is absolutely has bad intent and is endorsing and promoting evil. And his response when people ask him to walk that back and act like a semi-normal person is to dismiss them because they're Jewish. Not helping you beat the Hitler allegations, Nick. Among the other allegations, you know, about the cat boy and the other things. We'll get into that another time.
Holocaust. And that's all I meant a year ago when I said, at the end of the day, I said this with Candace Owens. I said, at the end of the day, he goes around telling people his grandparents died in the Holocaust. It's always going to mean something to him. It's going to mean something more to him than to us. It is what it is. I don't think that's offensive. Everybody's real sensitive. You know, no one wants to fight or whatever, but it's like, that's just true. So I'm not saying this is like an attack. I'm not attacking him.
Oh, no. You're not attacking him. You're just refusing to apologize for or walk back any of your openly pro-Hitler views and then dismissing somebody who is on your side on many issues and viewing you favorably because he's Jewish. You genuinely can't make this stuff up. It's absolutely abysmal and pathetic on Nick's part. And I just want anyone to be aware of this who thinks like, oh, he's just joking, he's just edgelording, or oh, those clips are from years ago. He's moderating. He's normal now. He is not. He is charismatic. He is funny. He is clearly resonating with people, but he is also a charlatan and an extremist who is egging on people to go along with some of the most violent and unhinged and just evil ideas and beliefs about entire groups of people, and then hides under this veneer of, oh, I'm just joking. But then when people get serious with him and are like, come on, say you were just joking when you say you love Hitler, he says, nope. And he says, and shut up, Jew. Don't ask me to do that. That's who Nick Fuentes is. And to the people who are trying to delude themselves otherwise, don't forget that. That's my take on it and why I wanted to highlight it for all of you. But you guys will have to let me know what you think in the comments below. Do make sure you subscribe, hit the like button anyways. And that'll be it for today's episode of the Brad vs. Everyone podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Remember, you can rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Send in your voicemails for our Voicemail Friday episodes, linked in the description. And with that, guys, we'll talk again real soon.